Okay, let's assemble our flute today. So just as a reminder, I have my flute on a flat, stable surface. Mine is on a table. Yours could be on a table or on the ground in front of you. Okay, so let's open our flute case up and let's get started. The first thing we are going to pick up is the body of our flute. So I'm going to carefully lift it out of the case and I'm going to turn it around so that the neck of my body is facing to the left and the ankle of my body is facing to the right. The flute always points to the right of our bodies. Okay. When I hold the body of the flute, it's really important that I am not squeezing or gripping these rods right here because it's pretty easy to bend them, so we just want to be really careful that we don't hurt the flute. Okay. A great place to hold the flute is actually up here at the neck where it's just solid metal. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to hold it nice and securely, and with my other hand, I'm going to pick up the head joint of my flute. Okay. The head joint is going to go straight into the body of my flute, and I'm just going to gently wiggle it in until just a little sliver of the bottom part of my head joint is sticking out. It's really important that we don't push the head joint all the way in or that we don't have it pulled super far out. Instead, what we want to do is just gently wiggle it in until a small sliver of the bottom part of our head joint is sticking out of the neck of our flute. Now, to make sure that we have our head joint in the proper position, we are going to turn our flute and we are going to look straight down the barrel of the instrument. We want to make sure that our embouchure hole is directly in line with the first key on our flute. So looking at mine, I can tell it's not quite right. So carefully, I'm just going to twist it a little bit until I can see that I have a straight line from my embouchure hole to this first key on the flute. Now, especially if you have a new instrument, you might find that it is really hard to get the head joint into the body of your flute. Please don't ever try to force it, okay? We always want to use gentle motions on our flute. So what you're going to need to do is pull your head joint out very carefully. Oops, don't ding it like I just did. Set your body back in the case, and taking a soft cloth, you're going to want to gently wipe off the end of your head joint, okay, so that it's nice and clean. And now carefully picking my body back up again, I'm going to put it back in there, and it should be able to wiggle and twist in there a little easier than before. Now, if you've cleaned your head joint and you're still having a really hard time getting it in there, please don't force it. It might just be that your flute needs to be adjusted at the repair shop. Okay, so I have my head joint in, my embouchure hole is in line with this first key of the flute, and now let's put the rest of it together. I'm going to pick up my foot joint, okay, and turn it so that the keys are facing to the left. And it is the same thing. It is just going to softly wiggle onto the end of my flute here, okay. Again, you can see I'm holding my flute up here and being careful not to push on the rods. Same thing, if you're having trouble getting this on here, just take your soft cloth and wipe off this space right here. Okay. Now, I know it might look like this rod on the flute is supposed to line up with this one so that it looks like this. But actually, we don't want to have it that way. Instead, we want to just softly turn the foot joint of our flute until this rod is right in line with the very middle of this bottom key. Okay, we've assembled our flute. Congratulations. Please make sure that if you ever set your flute down while it's fully assembled, that you set it down very gently and you have it turned slightly so that it's not resting on these bars, and also so that there's no chance of it being able to roll off of something and fall on the ground.